Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening. Thank you for coming to this presentation. My name is Fadilatul Hilda. In this chance, I would like to present a case about burn injury. First, I'll give you a general description as a beginning, and then a burn injury clinical case, and then in the end, I'll deliver the case analysis. Introduction. Burn is condition that there is damage to the skin or other body parts caused by extreme heat, flame, contact with heated objects, or chemicals. Burns can cause swelling, blistering, scarring, and serious cases, shock, even death. Hemodynamic management has long been identified as key factor impacting burn patients' prognosis because both under and over resuscitation may potentially negatively impact outcome. So anesthesiologists and intensivists caring for burn patients will have to face the challenge of fluid balance in these patients. Next is about the patients. Patient's identity. Mr. DY is a 40-year-old male who presented to the hospital after hot boiling water scald on June 14, 2021 at 9:30 p.m. He is a businessman. His weight is 120 kilogram. His head is 167 centimeter. With his body mass index is 43.01. That means Mr. DY is obese. He lives in Palembang. I had done an anamnesis on June 15, 2021 at 11 a.m. to get some information about the patient. So Mr. DY came to the emergency unit with burn injury in posterior trunk since 2 days before admission as the chief complaint. On June 13, 2021 at 5 p.m., Mr. DY was going to work by motorcycle which is connected to his meatball sales cart. He was injured in a road accident when he tried to avoid potholes. Then meatball sauce spilled to the back of his body. At 7 p.m., he was admitted to a private hospital. He got fluid resuscitation, but he and his family forgot its amount. At 11 p.m., he left the hospital due to administration problems. On June 14, 2021, at 9 p.m., Mr. DY was admitted to RSMH. He had no allergies, no medication, no past illness. His last meal was house food. So physical examination on June 14, 2021. Sensorium was compos mentis. Okay. Pulse respiratory rate and oxygen saturation were normal. From this, we know that Mr. DY has hypertension. Next. From head to toe examination, no abnormalities were found on head, neck, thorax, abdomen, and lower extremities, but it was found that Mr. DY had 9% of total body surface area, burn injury on the right side of the posterior trunk, and 2% of total body surface area burn injury in upper left arm. Next. Laboratory findings, June 14, 2021, it was found that were decreased in hemoglobin, red blood cell, hematocrits, lymphocytes, and increase in leukocytes. Next. And also increase in glucose level, but the glucose level had been rechecking by peripheral blood glucose test on June 15, 2021 at 7 a.m. The result was 160 milligram per deciliter. So from lab examination, there were anemia and leukocytosis. Next electrocardiogram finding was left axis deviation. Next. Chest X-ray finding was cardiomegaly. Next. And echocardiography finding were hypertensive heart disease and preserved LV function. Next. So the diagnosis was superficial deep dermal burns with 11% of total body surface area with anemia and hypertension, obesity, and difficult airway. Mr. DY would receive debridement treatment. For pre-operative preparation, there would be vital sign observation, informed consent regarding the surgical procedure, 6 hours fasting prior to surgery, and difficult airway preparation. Next. Intraoperative monitoring. At 1 past 30 p.m., Mr. DY was prepared for debridement. We made sure that there were IV line and urine catheter. IV line was for the induction propofol 100 milligram, fentanyl 200 microgram. Then in the next 15 minutes, debridement started. Next, Mr. DY was given in injection of paracetamol 1000 milligram and tranexamic acid 1000 milligram as the pain control. Then Mr. DY got Galofusin 600 milliliter and Pacratzal 200 milliliter. Debridement finished at 3 past 15 p.m. Then Mr. DY moved to recovery room. Intraoperative hemodynamic was relatively stable. Next. So the duration of the debridement was 2 hours with lateral decubitus position, general anesthesia as the procedure with propofol and fentanyl as the anesthetics. Patient status was AC3 emergency. For the fluid input, there were ringer lactate 500 milliliter, Galofusin 600 milliliter, and Pacratzal 200 milliliter. Besides, the fluid output were bleeding 50 milliliter, urine output 500 milliliter. Next. Patient transferred to recovery room at 3 past 40 p.m. With compos mentis condition, his blood pressure was 140 per 70 millimeter of mercury, heart rate, respiration rate, and temperature were normal. Oxygen saturation was 99% by nasal canal, 3 liter per minute. Next. On the first day of hospitalization examination, for patient subjective was burn pain in the shoulders and back, and recurrent abdominal pain. General condition was good. Sensor was compos mentis. Pain scale, numeric rating scale 2. Blood pressure 140 per 80 millimeter of mercury. Heart rate, respiration rate, and oxygen saturation were normal. FFD ringer lactate 30 drops per minute, one covered with dry gas. For assessment, post-debridement superficial deep dermal burns with 11% of total body surface area, anemia, and hypertension. For medication, there were ceftriaxone and ketorolac. Change the gauze if wet with sofratul and bernazine plus, mobilization practices, and lab test plan. So the lab result, lab test finding was still the same before. There were anemia and leukocytosis. Next. Second day of hospitalization, still the same. Burn pain in the shoulders and back, recurrent abdominal pain, general condition was good, sensorium was compos mentis, pain scale, numeric rating scale 1, blood pressure 140 per 80 millimeter of mercury, heart rate, respiration rate, oxygen saturation were normal. FFD ringer lactate 30 drops per minute when covered with dry gas. Assessment post-debridement superficial deep dermal burns with 11% of total body surface area, anemia and hypertension. Medication, ceftriaxone, ketorolac, tranexamic acid, vitamin K, Pacratzal, and then there were consultation plan to internal medicine department and clinical nutrition department. Next. So we know that Mr. DY had 11% of total body surface area burn injury. His blood pressure was 160 per 90 millimeter of mercury. He was obese and he had MALAM-PT3. Laboratory test results were anemia and leukocytosis. For electrocardiogram finding was LAD, and for echocardiography were hypertensive heart disease and preserved LV function. So the diagnosis was superficial deep dermal burns with 11% of total body surface area with anemia, hypertension, obesity, and difficult airway. Next. So from preoperative, there were some problems in airway breathing circulation. In the case, there was MAL-43, so we prepare for using difficult airway management. We use the DSA guideline. For obesity, prem position, and for blood pressure, the reasons for delaying surgery are usually uncontrolled blood pressure with systolic more than 190 millimeter of mercury or diastolic more than 110 millimeter of mercury and organ damage that has not been treated, and secondary hypertension of unknown cause, anemia, patient with lack of diet, inherited blood disorder, chronic disease, blood loss related to other conditions such as ulcers, hemorrhoids, or gastritis may cause effect of decreased RBC. Leukocytosis, patient with malignancy, infection, inflammatory process, allergies, arthritis, cause of drugs, history of surgery, and chemotherapy can cause effect on increased blood leukocyte. Next. And there was bleeding 50 milliliters. The clinician cuts the edge of a tissue to assess its vascularity. Fresh, bright red, briskly flowing blood coming from the cut edge of a tissue is a good sign of viability. So we note that it's important to note that the absence of bleeding does not mean the tissue is dead. Vasoconstriction, hypovolemia, and hypothermia, all of which are common in trauma patients, can mask the vascularity of a tissue. Next. Post-operative treatment plans in recovery room, vital sign observation for 1 hour in the recovery room and 24 hours in the medical ward. Pain scale, we found a numeric rating scale equal to 0. May eat and drink if fully conscious. If there are nausea and vomiting, give ondansetron 8 milligram intravenous. Intraoperative analgesia was administered. Next. So burn is condition that there is damage to the skin or other body part caused by extreme heat, flame, contact with heated objects or chemicals. Next. Physiological responses. Burn will cause local and systemic responses. First, inflammation occurs, then it disturbs membrane homeostasis, the direct heat effect on the microvasculature and to chemical mediators of inflammation. Damage to the cell membranes, partly caused by oxygen-free radicals released from polymorphonuclear leukocytes, will activate the enzymes catalyzing the hydrolysis of prostaglandin precursor. We know that as arachidonic acid, then with rapid formation of prostaglandin in result. Then inflammatory reaction leading to rapid edema formation due to increased microvascular permeability, vasodilation, and increased extravascular osmotic activity. Then we see thromboxane increased markedly in the plasma of burn patient and is a very potent vasoconstrictor, causing platelet aggregation and expanding the zone of stasis. Next. Burn injury algorithm. When a patient comes with a burn injury, as always, we have to do primary survey, airway, breathing, circulation, disability, and exposure. Then we do secondary survey, had to do examination and get some history. Then estimate surface area of burn. We may use a Lund Browder chart, rule of 9, or patient palm. Then we estimate depth of burn. Then we do burn field resuscitation. We may use Parkman formula. And then we see, is inhalation injury present? Is circumferential burn present? Evaluate specific anatomic areas. Then evaluate for special problems such as electrical or abrasive injury, drug overdose, hypothermia, chemical burns, carbon monoxide, or cyanide poisoning. Then is injury abusive? Then we treat. Next. The most commonly used guide to estimating the degree and depth of burn is the rule of nines. In adults, differential anatomical areas represent about 9% or multiples thereof of the total body surface area. Next. Another method that we can use is Lund and Browder chart or using patient's palmar. Next. So there are first degree to fourth degree classification. Second degree, there are superficial partial thickness burn and deep partial thickness burn next. First degree, we may find redness, hot to the touch, irritation, dry, no blister or bubbles, usually because of sunburn. Next. Second degree burns have all the same signs as a first degree burn, plus swelling, severe pain, blisters, sloughing, weeping fluid. Next. Third degree burns extend all the way through the dermis and into the subcutaneous tissue beneath. Look for the black center area, dry burn surrounded by second degree burn skin. Next. Fourth degree usually painless, waxy white to lighter gray or cut black color. Affected bone, muscle, and tendon usually result in severe scarring. Next. Burn injury treatment, there are primary resuscitation, wound management, and rehabilitation. Next. Fluid resuscitation formula, there are two formulas here, Parkland formula and modified Brock formula. 50% given in first 8 hours and 50% and the rest is given in next 16 hours. Next. For burn classified as severe, fluid resuscitation should be initiated to maintain urine output more than 0.5 milliliter per kilogram per hour. The fluid resuscitation formula for burns is only an estimate, and the patient may need more or less fluid based on vital sign, urine output, other injuries, or other medical conditions. For monitoring the amount of urine, 0.5 milliliter per kilogram body weight to 1 milliliter per kilogram body weight per hour is considered sufficient for adults, while for children, 1 to 2 milliliter per kilogram body weight per hour and mean arterial pressure more than 60 millimeter of mercury. There was no consensus of whether actual weight or ideal body weight should be implemented into resuscitation estimates with higher body mass index. Next. So for early fluid resuscitation for Mr. DY, here I use Parkland formula. Because of Mr. DY has higher body mass index, so here I use his ideal body weight, 67 kilogram. From this, for first 8 hours, Mr. DY would get 1,474 milliliter by 61 drops per minute. For next 16 hours, Mr. DY would get the same by 31 drops per minute. Next. Hemodynamic support, there are 3, restore and maintain adequate oxygen delivery, maintain fluid and electrolyte balance, and avoid excess stress. For restore and maintain adequate oxygen delivery, replace red blood cell losses, maintain serum albumin, maintain cardiac index. If lactic acidosis is present, increase oxygen delivery, keep arterial oxygen saturation greater than 90%. For maintain fluid, replace increased water losses, replace electrolyte losses, replace extracellular fluid losses, which shift into cells with nutrition. Avoid excess stress, avoid excess temperature, avoid excess heat loss, avoid excess pain and anxiety, then ensure adequate rest. Next. Electronic burn for burn patients, sodium, potassium chloride, calcium, magnesium phosphate. We administer based on laboratory patients. Next. For maintain nutrition for burn patients, we determine calorie needs, give protein, readjust needs as one heals. For root, begin parenteral and on day 2 to 3, begin enteral as soon as possible. Supplement, change IV catheter frequently. The type of calories are carbohydrate, fat, and protein. For supplement are vitamins A, C, zinc sulfate, and B complex. Next. Nutrition for Mr. DY. Here I use Harris-Benedict formula to calculate his basal metabolic rate. his BMR is 1,547.4. Then I calculate to find his total energy expenditure. His TEE is 4,177.98. Then from TEE results, we count for the percentage of macronutrients. The carbohydrate 626.7 gram, fats 92.9 gram, and protein 208.9 gram. Next. One management for superficial partial thickness, cooling, cleaning, covering, and comfort. For full thickness, maybe a surgical skin graft for rehabilitation, a continuum of active therapy starting from admission, critical care, scar management, stretching, and mobilization, and encourage activities. Next. Potential problems of burn injury. We have to see that a patient with burn injury have electrolyte imbalance or sepsis septic shock, electrolyte imbalance, hypernatremia caused by loss of water in excess of sodium loss, or retention of large amounts of sodium. Hyponatremia is common due to loss of sodium through the burn wound and dilution during fluid administration. Hyperkalemia can develop early in the burn injury as a result of metabolic acidosis and the release of potassium from damaged cells. Hypokalemia is common during resuscitation and can be exaggerated by nasal gastric loss or diarrhea, sepsis septic shock due to open wounds because of loss of skin barriers. Next. This is a glance of about electrolyte. Total body water and electrolytes are divided into intracellular and extracellular compartments. About 2/3 of total body water is intracellular and 1/3 extracellular. The intracellular compartment is rich in potassium, magnesium, calcium, phosphate, and protein. The extracellular compartment includes the interstitial fluid, about 80% of extracellular volume, and plasma about 20%, and translucent fluid. The transcellular fluid is anatomically separate fluid species like intraocular fluid, gastrointestinal, and cerebrospinal, and there's no exchange of water and solids with other extracellular fluid. Next. Next is about sepsis and septic shock. Patient with suspected infection, we have to determine key SOFA criteria. For Mr. DY, the score was 0. Q SOFA criteria are respiration rate more than 22 times per minute, mental status changes, systolic blood pressure less than 100 millimeter of mercury. For Mr. DY, the score was 0, but sepsis still suspected because he had open wound. Next, we assess for evidence of organ dysfunction by using SOFA score. Next. Here is SOFA score with the score 0 to 4. The variables are respiratory, cardiovascular, liver, bilirubin, renal creatinine, coagulation platelets, neurologic, and neurologic. Next. Obesity are defined as abnormal or excessive fat accumulation that presents a risk to health. Physiological changes by obesity may affect the distribution, binding, and clearance of anesthetic drugs, and severe side effects can easily occur if drug dosage is based on actual body weight. For body mass index category, there are normal, overweight, obese class 1, 2, 3. Next. Next is body weight terminology and formula. Total body weight is defined as the actual weight. Lean body weight is the patient's weight excluding fat. Ideal body weight is what the patient should weigh with a normal ratio of lean to mass. So as we can see here, there are two different formula to calculate lean body weight for male and female, and also for ideal body weight. is head in centimeter minus 100 for male and 105 for female. Then we also see here a person with normal weight has 80% of lean weight and 20% of adipose weight. Meanwhile, an obese has 60% of lean weight and 40% of adipose weight. Next. For Mr. DY, total body weight 120 kilogram, lean body weight 65.44 kilogram, ideal body weight 67 kilogram, and ideal body weight using a body mass index chart with body mass index 22. The ideal body weight around 63 kilogram. Next. Obstructive sleep apnea. Obesity is major risk factor for OSA. OSA is also referred to as obstructive sleep apnea, hypopnea syndrome. OSA is defined as a condition in which recurrent pharyngeal collapse and temporary respiratory arrest result from loss of pharyngeal dilator muscle tone during sleep. Predisposing factors for OSA include genetic factors, non-Caucasian race, narrowing of the upper airways, obesity, male menopause, use of sedative drugs, alcohol, and smoking. Untreated, it can lead to comorbidities including apnea, hypoxemia, hypertension, heart disease, cardiac arrhythmias, myocardial infarction, stroke, and sudden death. Next. The Stop Bank questionnaire is one of the most widely accepted screening tools for OSA. There are S for snoring, T for tiredness, O for observed apnea, P for high blood pressure, B for body mass index, A for age, N for neck circumference, G for gender. So Mr. DY had 5 points, so it means he had high risk. Next. OSA protocol first identify patient using OSA designation, provide OSA education to the patient, elevate head of bed to 30 degrees as tolerated, avoid supine position, use smoothly modal pain management, maintain oxygen saturation more than 90% or baseline, maintain continuous pulse oximetry, consider IT carbon dioxide monitoring, provide respiratory therapy to manage advanced needs, CPAP or BPAP. Next. So this is RAM position. Obesity is associated with a 30 greater chance of difficult or failed intubation, but placing obese patients in the RAM position, elevating the patient's upper body and head until the external auditory meatus and the sternal notch are in the same horizontal plane, significantly lowers the incidence of difficult laryngoscope. Next. So the first picture show RAM position using linen, and the second one show using RAM position using OR table. Next. Hypertension is defined as a persistent elevation in obese systolic blood pressure more than 140 and diastolic blood pressure more than 90 millimeter of mercury. Patients with untreated hypertension or in patients with poorly controlled hypertension tend to have an increased intraoperative risk of myocardial ischemia, arrhythmias, or even hemodynamic instability. The reason for delaying surgery are usually uncontrolled blood pressure with systolic more than 180 millimeter of mercury or diastolic more than 110 millimeter of mercury, and organ damage that has not been treated, and secondary hypertension of unknown cause. Next. Difficult airway is clinical situation in which a healthcare provider who is skilled at airway management encounters difficulty with one or more standard methods of airway management. The difficulty of airway management is highly variable and will depend on several factors, including patient characteristic, medical and surgical history, airway examination, the clinical context for which airway management is required, including the nature of any planned surgical procedure, and the patient's current status and vital signs. Next. So this is an algorithm for difficult intubation by Difficult Airway Society. There are plan A, B, C, and D. Next. Plan A, fast mask ventilation and tracheal intubation. If declared failed intubation, do Plan B, maintaining oxygenation, SAD insertion. Declared failed SAD ventilation, do Plan C, fast mask ventilation. Declare can intubate, can oxygenate. Do Plan D, emergency front of neck access. Do scalpel cricothyroidotomy. Next. Next is how Plan D works. The steps for cricothyroidotomy. Next. These the references. Thank you for listening. May all those I have shared be beneficial for all of us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Hilda. So we open the discussion session. So if anyone who ask or resident both you want to ask her about her presentation, please